And this is a little girl. This is 30 years ago, but this case is very, very important. Her name's Helena Bai. And basically she had an adverse reaction to I can't remember the name of the procedure, but you put a dye basically in to see what's going on, and she had a reaction to that. And then the hospital in Bridgend made a diagnosis that really she had epilepsy, and they put her on Epilin. And they put her on a dose that made that girl ill, terribly ill, sick, unwell, in pain, headaches. And when the parents said we knew something was wrong and they tried to get her off that medication, they were told, if you try and get her off the medication, we will take your daughter from you. So in the end, they made a decision and they went with the hospital treatment, and eventually the girl died under quite horrible circumstances. The hospital lied over the time at which the girl died. They didn't tell the parents for some time. And the reason they did that is because whilst they were delaying telling the parents the girl was actually dead and preventing them from seeing her, they were stripping body parts out of her. All provable. And they still haven't got her back. They've got bits of her back, but they haven't got all of her back. This is not an isolated case, but I haven't got time to tell you more. This one's slightly different, but it shows the establishment working. This is a lady called Anne Gregg and her daughter Holly. And when Holly was 6 years old, she started to be abused by her father and a ring of people, including carers, nurses, somebody involved with the police, somebody involved with the Scottish judiciary. And although Holly is Down syndrome, she has a fantastic memory. She knows what was done with her. She knows where it was done. She knows who did it. She knows their names. She knows the relationships between people. She remembers it all. And there has never been a proper police investigation. This is typical. And despite the fact there's been no police investigation, this lady has been awarded £8,500 by a criminal injuries board. How can you award criminal injuries unless there's been a crime? Well, if you want to cover up dirty dealings, including paedophilia, by people in the police and the judiciary, this is how you do it. And the good old BBC dropped this like a hot potato. Because Anne, in fighting for justice for her daughter, found herself surrounded by 8 people in her flat one afternoon. They forced her to the ground, they stuck a needle in her backside, and she woke up in a psychiatric unit. And they gave her a few days in a psychiatric unit to warn her off trying to get justice for her daughter. That is the article in the latest UK column, and we've brought some of those papers here so you can read the story for yourself. It is disgusting. They went for help all over the place, and a month ago they went and, well, they wrote to Mr. Alex Salmon, because all this took place in Aberdeen area, Grampian Police. And it took 1 month for his office to come back to say that it was receiving attention. A girl was raped between the ages of 6 and 14, vulnerable, Down syndrome, raped and abused by members of the people who should be protecting us. And yet it takes them a month to look at it. This is my view. Can you recognize it? It's a wet fish. It's a salmon. This man is big trouble because he is prepared to cover up. He must be covering it up because he's not investigating it. And although this incident has happened north of the border, I can tell you that although they are now living in England, English police are still not assisting matters to get justice for this girl who was raped repeatedly, gang raped. how can this happen in this country? Well, it happens because Jack Straw and others have created a secret court system where you cannot get justice. Right, I've got about 7 minutes. Call it 10. Happy with that. Have I got a mic still? What's happened to it? Oh, okay. Right, this guy, wonderful man, lives down in Monaco, written this book, 434 pages, a lot of detail in there, and I've used some of his material, and I'm delighted to give him a big push there. These are key things to do with attributes of people involved in child snatching. They're very cold. People within social services or the police or the judiciary, they lack emotion. Very, very cold. Yeah? They lie, they falsify documents, they bully, they intimidate, they threaten, they spread false rumours to help get the children away. They turn children against the parents. I just told you the one, mummy doesn't love you because mummy's just had another baby, so she obviously doesn't like you. These people are somehow being taught how to use psychological bullying. And in some cases, the mothers have told us, and they usually say, I'm not sure I should tell you this because you'll think I'm a bit loopy, but it was scary when they came because they were like little robots. Now, I will tell you what this is. It's the result of programming. These people are being given neurolinguistics, which are changing their values. And the Nazis did this. Now, I'm going to go very quickly because I want to build the picture. And I've only got 5 minutes. This is Ian Joseph's guide to survival. And this man knows what he's talking about. He's legally trained, and he's helped and is still helping a large number of mothers and parents. Never contact social services. You couldn't get a better statement than that. Yeah? Don't sign anything. Don't give your children up, even if it's supposed to be temporary. Refuse to be assessed by psychiatrists. Why? Because they lie about you. And don't let them access to your medical records. And don't write any letters. So everything he is saying is stay away from these people, they're dangerous. But aren't social services supposed to be the people who look after our children? Now I'm going to do the impossible. I've got 4 minutes to tell you what's really going on, because I want to get your minds this wide instead of just thinking about incidents with children. This lady worked for the European Union in Romania. She discovered what we were told about the children was not entirely true. We were given a picture of disaster where many of the orphanages were trying to help the children with limited means. What she discovered, though, was consultancies and charities were helping traffic Romanian children. She discovered on some of the orphanages there was a bolt-on pharmaceutical laboratory where they were testing the children, and including in some cases wiring up the children with electrodes when they were introduced to prospective parents. She's exposed it. She lost her job in the EU. She receives death threats. She is now tracking the paedophile networks at the highest levels of the European Union, and that includes Britain. If you go to the Communist Manifesto, look at what it says in number 2. Abolish the family. The Frankfurt School psychiatrists actually studied the destruction of society by moral, family, and spiritual breakdown. Nice people. When the war came, they moved abroad, America, Britain, all over the place. But that is their mentality, vicious. Here's the Communist International. It's going to produce a regional union. It's going to level the economies. That's what's happening to us now. We're being suppressed. And the regions are going to form a new world order. I haven't made that up. That is straight out of their Comintern program for 1928. People train in this stuff for warfare. This was Stalin's advisor talking about psychopolitics, causing chaos, distrust, economic depression. This is at the cover of the original Nazi document talking about the formation of a European Union. Just remember the Bilderbergers that I've talked about. If you read that document, it says a lot of things, including single transport system. You've heard it. This is the blueprint for the EU. This is one of our own army psychiatrists, and the document is 1940, and in it he's talking about how psychiatrists will penetrate society to re-engineer us into thinking and acting the right way. And he says we've made a useful attack. This man intimately linked with the Tavistock Institute, which is itself linked with the formation of the NHS. There's a dirty little trail here. And he was eventually involved with the World Mental Health Federation. By mental health, they mean you're healthy when you're in the new society. This is a document talking about a plan to destroy Western society. It came from a Soviet dissident, and surprise, surprise, it says they're going to destroy families. It's happening. You're watching it. The Fabians are creeping socialism. Here's Tony, because he was chairman, and you can trust him. These people are all Marxists, Leninists, or Trotskyists. You can check it for yourselves. New Labour is Marxist, and even some of the national newspapers are starting to pick it up. Miliband and Mandelson, unbelievably dangerous. And if you're worried about the Tories, I think you're looking at something which is what? Fascism? Question mark there. Oswald Mosley, what was he? Well, okay. Also leader of the British fascist movement, but he gets great praise from Michael Foot, Labour leader, left-wing liberal. So these people are all intertwined. This book puts it together. I'm sorry it's such a poor picture, but a guy called Christopher Story wrote a very detailed political analysis which said simply the Berlin Wall came down, communism didn't, and that is absolutely true, and I can tell you that as an ex-military person. What it's done is changed form. Hitler's Germany was built on Marxism. The Soviet Union was Marxist-based, and what you are seeing is the full system arriving. Children are to be re-engineered into the new society. You are not going to be allowed to keep your children. And that is the big picture, and they are testing the water at the moment by taking a few thousand children away from people under a false pretext. If you think I'm joking or I'm Walter Mitty, everything I've said is provable. You can research it yourself. But I tell you, if we could get over the gagging orders, I could present you with this high of information showing that courts are lying in order to help take children away. I'm at the end. Thank you very much.